video, I'd like to drill into some detail on how bots in a botnet communicate with the command and control server, and in particular, the communication protocols that most botnets use. Now, the most popular ones, at least the ones that people talk about the most, are one called Internet Relay Chat, or IRC. So Internet Relay Chat. Or IRC. Another one that people often use in the context of botnets is the Hypertext Transfer Protocol, commonly known as HTTP, so the Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Or HTTP. And then there's also peer-to-peer protocols, and really there are many examples of peer-to-peer protocols. For example, Overnet, and you can also have people using custom protocols, etc. And then finally, there are some covert channels that some bot herders will use, and I'll talk about that subsequently as well. Now, I won't be able to talk about, I think, all four of these in one video, so this will require multiple videos. What I thought I would do is perhaps in this video, I'll start by looking at IRC, and I don't even think I could do IRC justice in just one video. So let me just focus this particular video on history of IRC, and then I'll subsequently talk about why IRC became a popular choice for malware authors. Now, first of all, IRC is a really well-known protocol. It was actually invented by somebody named Jarkko Oikarinen. Let me spell that for you. So it's Jarkko Oikarinen, or Oikarinen. And it was in August of '88, I believe, that he first proposed the IRC protocol. And IRC actually is built on top, or actually I shouldn't say built on top of, but it uses TCP, so uses TCP. And it used to be one of the most popular ways for people to chat online with each other, although nowadays I would say it's less prevalent. There are still some people, however, who use IRC to chat today, but it's not as common as it once was, I would say maybe about 15 years or so ago. Now, if you were to use IRC to engage in a chat session, or if you were doing it legitimately, what would typically happen is that you would have your computer here, and you would install an IRC client, and a common IRC client is one called Mirc, or MIRC. So maybe you'll install an IRC client like MIRC or Mirc. And then this particular client would then connect to an IRC server. So this is a server somewhere, and the client will connect to the server. And typically, if you were doing, let's say, a chat, the server might have many different channels that you can find. And actually, there wasn't just one server. There was often a network of servers and so on. But different servers might have different channels available. So, for example, let's say you liked, I don't know, poker. So there's a poker channel. Maybe there might be a chess channel for people who like chess and want to talk about it. Maybe you like, I don't know, algebraic geometry. And so if you're interested in poker, chess, and algebraic geometry, then you could find somebody on those channels who would be willing to talk to you about any one of these particular topics. And maybe some channels are more popular than others. And of course, there were channels about all sorts of interesting things back in the day. But you could basically choose to join specific channels based on your interests. And then on the channel, you would find and typically see messages streaming down your screen from people on that channel talking about those topics. And you could then participate in the conversation yourself. And in general, it's very popular for people to kind of get together and form communities online and to chat on the internet. And in many ways, it kind of predated instant messaging and other forms of online communication that have existed since then, and that have largely kind of caused or really obviated the need for IRC. Now, as IRC evolved, IRC operators, and typically what happened is you might have a physical person operating one of these systems, and so you'd have a person who's the IRC operator, and he might be operating a particular channel. And typical operators had to do things like maintain aspects of the channel and reprimand users who were being abusive or kick them off, or maybe provide people with basic information about the channel if they join, and so on and so forth. And that does require a certain amount of work. And so a lot of IRC operators decided that you could probably automate a bunch of that functionality. And so IRC operators wrote what were called IRC bots. And these were not malicious by any stretch. They were just kind of legitimate applications called bots because they were designed to be kind of robotic in nature that were used for administering IRC channels. And the most common examples, some of the more well-known bots included, there's a bot called Egg Drop. There's another bot, I believe it was called Energy Mech. I'm just going to write these names down so you can reference them if you want. Energy Mech. And really, these bots were just there. They were simple software applications, or maybe somewhat complex software applications. They were written in C. Some of them might include add-ins. Let's say, so I think Egg Drop and Energy Mech, I think, had add-ins that you could write in Tickle, which was a language, and actually it was a scripting language, and you could also, some of them would incorporate other scripting languages to make them easily extensible and so on and so forth, so that IRC operators could then customize these bots for their purposes and for their channels. And now these bots were not designed to be malicious. They could be used to automate commands for administering the channel. Some of these bots would play games with you. They could be used for transferring files. Some of them would respond automatically to certain messages on the IRC network, or maybe some of them would acknowledge you if you kind of said hello to them, and they would tell you about the channel and so on and so forth. And really, again, to kind of keep things simple, the goal of early IRC bots was just to facilitate administration and really to improve automation of the channel rather than anything nefarious. These are completely, or for the most part, were benign. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of pause the video right here. I've covered what IRC is and how it originated. And in the next video, I will talk specifically about how malware writers started using IRC for nefarious purposes. Hope you join me there. Thanks a lot.